Well, hello everybody. Scottie the Trainer here. Scottie the Trainer Tuesdays. Thank you very much for joining me. I want to give you today a word. It's a Hebrew word from a Jewish story. It's the word Rehoboth. Let me say that to you again. It's the word Rehoboth. Now that word Rehoboth means to have room made for you. Specifically, it means to have a room made for you, a place, a spot, an area, a space that's yours. So the story goes like this, the Jewish story. It tells us that there was a young man by the name of Isaac, and Isaac had his family with him and his children and his wife and all of their livestock. And so what they were going to do was they were trying to find a place in the wilderness where they could dig wells. Because in those days, they had to dig the wells dig deep till they hit water so that they could take care of their families and their flocks and all of their servants and everybody that was traveling with them. So the first thing that Isaac thought he would do is, the Jewish story tells us he went to a well that his father dug. And over time, as his father had lived and then his father passed on, the wells dried up and they were covered over with dirt. And so what he did was he went there and he dug those wells, and he wanted to repeat where his father had dug and found that water. I want you to hear the story there. So he's trying to repeat the success that his father did. You know, there's a lot of people that are trying to repeat something that someone else has already done. No originality. They would rather be a cheap copy than a fresh, brand new original. Well, Isaac went there, and as he was trying to dig the well, what happened was the enemies of that area came, and what they did was they started throwing dead carcasses of animals down into the well, and they just destroyed that clean, fresh water. And so Isaac said, we're not going to dwell here. We're going to get out of here. So he was unable to repeat the success that his father had. Do you really want to be a cheap copy, or do you want to be a great original? I go back to my story that I've told before, where a man came up to me and he told me, he said, you know what? He said, I've listened to self-help people and I've listened to motivational speakers. And he goes, man, Scottie, I'd much rather listen to you than a Tony Robbins. I was impressed. I said, man, that means so much to me. I appreciate that. I said, but one thing's for sure, I am no Tony Robbins. He turned around and looked at me and said, and Tony Robbins is no Scottie the Trainer. Means a lot. I don't want to be a cheap copy. I want to be a great original. So Isaac could not find water there. So he had to move on. And he came to a land where he thought, this looks good. So his workers and his servants started digging, and they dug and they dug and they dug and they dug. And a second well. They found water and they started coming up with fresh water, and he thinks, this is great. Well, what he didn't know was he was right in the area where it belonged to other tribes and other people. And so the men of those areas came out and said, hey, you dug these wells on our land. Therefore, we're going to claim these wells, and we're taking these wells away from you. So Isaac goes back to his people and he says, hey, we're going to have to pack up and go. And the workers that dug that well said to Isaac, why don't we fight for it? These people can't just take our good work and then just take off with it. Let's fight them for it. And Isaac said, I don't want to strive for this water. You know, when you get to certain places in life and you start seeing success, you have to determine what's worth fighting for and what's not worth fighting for. You have to start choosing your battles when you get in certain places in life. You have to make a determination on what's a battle worth rolling up your sleeves and jumping right in the middle of it and duking it out and fighting for everything that you have, or is it something that you can keep your mouth closed and move on down the street a little bit because you might find something a little bit better? So now Isaac has had 2 wells, not staying with either one of them. One well, he followed his father's footsteps, wanted to be like his daddy, but he couldn't. Second well, it was on the wrong land. Finally, after traveling, he finds a spot and he tells his men, he says, let's start digging here. So they dig and they dig and they dig and they dig and they hit water, and water comes up, and there's enough water there for everybody, for he and his family and his children and the livestock and the workers and everybody. And so they come to Isaac and they go, oh, Isaac, why are we going to be able to keep this one when we couldn't keep the other ones? And Isaac said the word that I gave you in the beginning. He said, because Rehoboth, room has been made for us. Room has been made for us. There's a certain place that you come to. There's a certain area in life that you come to. I can't explain it to you. I can't give you earmarks of it. But there's something deep down. I had a professor in Harvard that used to say, I know it down in my knower. And there's something about deep down in your knower, when you know that you know that you know you've hit your place. And the universe, God, provision, prominence has made room for you. Finally, that land that he dug on was his. It wasn't his father's. He wasn't trying to repeat anything, and no one came out to fight him for it, because finally he said, Rehoboth, room, space, a place has been made for us. Somebody said to me the other day, you ever get tired in what you're doing? And I said, sometimes I get physically tired. My hours are all over the place. I'm training people everywhere. I'm talking to people every day. I'm doing stuff at work. I'm talking to people when I'm outside in motivation. Do all kinds of things. Do you ever get tired? I get physically tired. No. I mean, do you get tired? Do you ever think somebody's going to come along and replace me one day? I better stay on my game because I'm tired of doing this, and someone's going to come along and replace me. And I stopped for a minute and I said, no, nobody can replace me. Because back to what I said in the beginning, I'm not Tony Robbins, but Tony Robbins isn't Scottie the trainer. I'm at my Rehoboth. The room has been made, a space has been made, a place has been made for me. What about you? Are you where you want to be in your life? Have you hit your Rehoboth yet? Have you hit your place where you can definitely put your flag down and you can make your declaration and say, this is my space, this is my place, this is my success, this is my work, this is what I was made and built and placed and called and commissioned to do? Can you say that? If you can't, my friend, you haven't reached your Rehoboth yet. But I got news for you. Just like Isaac, keep digging. Keep pressing. Put one foot in front of the other. Because eventually you're going to hit a well, water is going to spring up, and you're going to know deep in your knower, I've made it to my Rehoboth. Don't stop. It's right there in front of you. I'm Scottie the trainer. I hope this has been beneficial. That's how I see it.